long validated.
Fed's Barkley says inflation data raises the question if we are seeing a shift.
All right, good morning. You guys hear me in YouTube land? Oh, thank you, Manishes. All right, I'll be back in 1 minute.
Risk disclosure statement. There is a risk of loss in trading stocks, ETFs, commodity futures, derivatives, options, forex, and cryptocurrencies. This risk can be substantial, and therefore investors should carefully consider their financial stability prior to trading. Past performance is not indicative of future performance. The software, strategies, chat rooms, websites, and any associated websites or digital venues are for educational purposes only and should not be considered as an express or implied promise or guarantee that you will profit by losses may be limited in any manner whatsoever. Users of the information accept full responsibility for the outcomes of their deployment in most Apple Trader, LLC, and any associated companies, agents, management, owners, and customers regardless of reservation. Please trade responsibly. Commodity Futures Trading Commission, CFTC, Rule 4.41, hypothetical and simulated trading performance results have certain inherent limitations, some of which are described herein. No representation is being made with any account below is likely to achieve profits or losses similar to those shown. In fact, there are frequently stark differences between hypothetical or simulated performance results and the actual results subsequently achieved by any particular trading program. One of the limitations of hypothetical performance results is that they are generally prepared with the benefit and downside. In addition, hypothetical trading does not involve financial risk, and no hypothetical trading record can completely account for the impact of financial risk in actual trading. For example, the ability to withstand losses or adhere to a particular trading program in spite of trading losses are material points which can also adversely affect actual trading results. Because these trades have not actually been executed, the hypothetical results may not or overcompensated for the impact, if any, of certain market factors such as lack of liquidity. There are numerous other factors related to the markets in general or to the implementation of any specific trading program which cannot be fully accounted for in simulated trading or in the preparation of hypothetical performance results at all, of which can adversely affect actual trading results.
This trading room and this webinars are not intended to mirror my trades or to give specific trade recommendations. The analysis themselves I share trades and trading and taking myself based on my personal analysis. The role of students, teachers, and identify specific areas trading management themselves without knowing the decisions yours. Trading is extremely risky and you decide following personal trades, you sort of no risk and potentially lose your entire account and even more. And that I was profitable and have 15 hours on my trading accounts. The spreadsheet of access to is my personal spreadsheet that I use to have its own values and ATR values and how you can exact prices for my trades. You can see when I add its own prices to this spreadsheet as well as prices of trades whether you want to go long or short. You have the ability to copy this spreadsheet and your own values and use when I take from its own prices and create your own spreadsheet for yourself. The spreadsheet is not telling you which direction trade is, it has such prices and stock prices for both long and short positions depending on which one you personally decide to trade. All right, good morning. Markets are dead. Currently watching crude right here. So, I mean, there's an event in NASDAQ. Nothing in ES so far. There are a couple events. The last event here was sell ice. Fed clowns are talking. Really nothing happening. Trading strategies I could put on off of this. Algo guy is my filter for bark and lick trades. We'll go over all these, but that just pulled bearish, so I can take shorts off of this. If this confirms a short setup, so the way I judge these areas. Let me get my drawer guy going here. I had the sweet automatic restart of my computer overnight. I love when Microsoft does that. I thought I was turned off and I get come to my computer and have to redo everything. And then the crappy Thinkorswim software, I saved a workspace the other day and 3/4 of my charts were just gone. So I had to rebuild everything. It was great. Good start to the morning. Anyway, the way we judge these areas, the volume event is the most important thing. Obviously, it's real-time volume coming in. It's showing you either the SI indicator, stop iceberg indicator, showing you either the icebergs, which are hidden orders that the big players put in these in the market, where they only have to display a small fraction in the order book, and then behind it there's whopper size, bigger size, and we have thresholds for what is big size, what's not, and then there's stop runs, which are usually retail trader puke. So based on that activity, real-time activity, I can judge and get a very good idea on what these markets are going to do based on the patterns that these things have. So from watching, like literally tens of thousands of these things over the last 7 years. So the way we judge these volume events is whether the market can get an ATR above or below the zone. So you can see here, I just have to make sure this ATR is accurate on here. This is the zone drawing tool. We'll go over that. So this is showing a 36 ATR. I don't think that's right. It's 29.7. So this is the beta version of the Pro Zone Drawing, Scott Zone's drawing tool. So this spreadsheet that you see here, where you plug in your values. We'll why I keep getting alerts on this spot gamma because I turned that off. This is what's reflected now on the spreadsheet. On the heat map. Hold on a second. I know I turned this off twice. Why is this? Hold on, guys. I'm gonna have to just deal with it for right now. So let's just plug this zone in real quick. 61 to 45.50. I thought I already had this done, but let's see. All right, so this is the process, right? You put it in the top of the zone here on the spreadsheet. So if members of my trade room, you get this spreadsheet for free or a version of this. You can get it also on my website, scottpulcinitrader.org, where if you can't get in the trade room, you get a subscription for it, 18 to 45.50. Let's see. And then the current ATR again is 29.16. So these values are going to tell me what the validation price is, either long or short. There's a new event here in NASDAQ too, but it's pretty much on top of that first one. So anyway, to make this a short stop, the validation price is 216 quarter. Barely, almost got there. Let's see if we can actually touch that price. Just missed it. So still don't know what this prior event is. Right, it still has not pushed an ATR out of here, up or down. Hold on, guys, I gotta turn this thing off. I just turned it off, and now it's back on again. It's the hero alert, and I don't know why this keeps firing off. Give me a second here. Just turned it off. All right, let's turn it off again. There. All right, so, oh my gosh, you gotta be, I'm gonna have to just, sorry guys, on the squawk box, I'm gonna X out of the hero for right now. I can't listen to that the whole webinar. All right, so there's two different setups here. I can still trade off of that one, and then there's a new one. So we're just gonna watch how this materializes. I do have to put this new zone in, 33.75 to 27, so you can see there's sell ice coming in, right? So that's important information in its own right. Somebody bigger, a bigger entity is selling up here. Right, and then we'll look at the areas. So the whole idea is behind the way I trade is looking for real-time events in important areas I deem important, right? You may have your own important areas. Whatever you're using for your important areas, it would behoove you to understand this stuff and apply what's going on right now in an area that you think is important, and then you enhance your edge greatly. Let me plug this one in. 33.75 to 27. And remember, Fed guys are talking, so if you guys watched that webinar I did with Lance, Lance is a trader in my trade room. He's done very well. He's made over $1.5 million in a year. He did a webinar. It's actually listed on my YouTube channel. He said he's down like 25 grand trying to trade with these Fed guys talking, so he refrains. So that's not a bad idea. They are chirping right now, so you're gonna get some randomness. You know, these algos trade off of their keywords. So they say something that they interpret as bearish, the market rips down. They say something bullish, it rips up. So yes, these are very important areas, but basically all bets are off when these guys are chirping, because they say you got a great short on. They say one thing that's bullish, they're dovish or whatever you want to call it. The thing rips off the page, right? And we've been seeing it. We saw one the other day. I was short ES. Looks like it was going to zero. It was even an unannounced Fed chirp. It was 2 days ago in the afternoon. ES ripped 75 points, so it stops me out, and you just got to accept it. That's markets, but the point is, all bets are off when they're talking a lot of times. So you just got to accept. If you're willing to trade while they're talking, you got to accept the results. All right. So to confirm this, all right. Well, first of all, there's two different things we can do here, right? So remember we said 16 quarter was the ATR for that. So there's a way I can still trade that one. If not, I can trade that one if this pushes an ATR away from here. So let's see what that price is. That's 98.50 validation price. Not there yet. So as of right now, we at least could still trade that. So I have specific trading strategies, and I have let's go through the process here first. So these are volume events. Let's see where we're at on the bigger picture. So this is actually a move into this inflection zone. So I have these zones that I draw based on 4 important areas of charting: tops and bottoms of balance areas, high volume nodes of balance areas, directional conviction, buying and selling tails. So many times there's a lot of stuff in the same area. It makes it even more important, right? So like for instance, this was that huge move the other day, right from that zone. The zone was already here, so it's still very important. So these are areas that you want to watch when the market comes back. So this is one of my important areas: inflection zones, ISI zones. So say the market came up here, I got a volume event, I would take that trade. So right here we have market popped out of here, it's coming back. Now we have that sell ice in here. Inherently sell ice is bearish, right? Because big money's selling, but they're not always right. So we judge if they're going to be right by the way it reacts to this zone that you just saw. So if this sell ice holds and moves higher, I'm going to take an ISI long. And you can see here, this stuff was directional conviction. I kind of redid this zone today because I traded up and through it, and then you can see it's the top of this balance area that I broke out from. And you see it was selling tail, selling tail, selling tail, got above there. Here we are back. So there's multiple things here that if this iceberg, we will call that a broken ice setup. So I have specific names for these setups. And that is these here. I'll go over these as we go. So this is my course. This goes over everything that I'm doing as far as the settings and thresholds for each product and drawing the zones. With the zone drawer, you don't need to draw the zones, but you still need to know how to do it because you have to adjust zones sometimes. And then these are the specific setups I look for. So for instance, if this setup failed to the upside, it would be called broken ice, right? So again, really high technical names for these things. I make them funny for a reason, so they're memorable too. So it's someone selling here. If this market is able to push the ATR, and that's that blue line out of here, then that would be a bullish setup, right? And I'm going to take an ISI long. On the flip side, if this market pushes an ATR below here, it's going to be bearish setup, and I'm going to look for shorts for different trading strategies. So I know right now we're in an important inflection zone. If this moves higher, I'm going to take a long on the broken ice setup. If it moves lower, then it's going to be a Titanic, right? So Titanics are icebergs that the market is basically conforming to, right? So sell ice means selling. So that is now so this is, now we just got stop runs, right? So the sell ice is winning so far. Now we got retail trader puking, very likely, right? Stop runs are usually retail traders. The big money doesn't usually just throw in stops. They have this like automated algo that pieces out of the trade or whatever. But regardless, it doesn't matter, right? What matters is these are high volume events that traders are getting loaded up, either long or short here, right? So depending on what's going on. So regardless, if this comes back, I can put on two different trading strategies for this event. Maybe. Actually, I can't do that. So say this didn't happen here, right? I don't want to confuse people. I know there's a lot of new traders on here, but that's a new event. We always default to the most recent event. If that didn't happen, I was looking for this to occur to put on trading strategies short. Which trading strategies? Bark and Lick. Bark is a blind ATR retest confirm trade. So it's basically, this trade doesn't have to be in an important area, right? And it's probably the most active trade that you can do. So if you're a person that needs action all the time in the markets, that Bark trades for you. They happen nonstop, right? So, but they're not in important areas. So they're not like finding these events in important areas. So at any trade that does this pattern, and you're going to see it over and over and over again, probably in this webinar, I will take that trade, right? The filter I use to decide if I'm going to take that or not, I need this algo guide. We call it algo guide. It's an exponential moving average ribbon in the direction of potential bark trade. So you can see the blue is the short term, the red is the long term. These are just individual time frames. If you want all this information, just come on my trade room. I post every week I'll post it here in a little bit, remind me, that explains this thing. But just very basic, blue short-term exponential moving average ribbons, and the red are long terms. When the blue crosses below, you get those algos that jump in. And I just noticed that the barks and lick trades that I take that are against this thing, I was getting smoked. So I look for that as my filter for that trade. So now we plug in this new zone to see how we're going to do. So my point is, I was going to take Barks and Licks off of that event, right? Well, now we got a new event. If this happens to be an ATR out of here, confirming this long, I can't take a short off of that because this is long. See what I'm saying? So what do I still have here? We'll go over this as it happens too, by the way. Where is the Izzy chart that I just had up? I still believe this is an Izzy trade. It is. It's right on the edge. Remember, these are zones. They're not exact prices. There's a stop run, and it's still in an Izzy zone. This is still the top of this balance as well. This is still in a short-term bullish state, right? It's going to get very, very interesting if this market breaks this high volume node, as they call it, HVN, of the balance area. What's that? That's just where the most trade occurred in a balance area. Balance areas are traders placing bets, right? This tried to break out. Balance areas so many times will do the juke move. It'll break out. It'll come back to the top. Then it'll launch. It'll come back all the way to the high volume node. Then it'll launch. If it breaches the high volume node, then that's considered a failed breakout of balance, and that's very, very important information. I was telling my trader yesterday, if you can make a living just waiting for failed breakouts of longer term balance structures, right? So that's what potentially is occurring here. So if this market is going to remain bullish, it basically needs to hold right here. If this breaks, then we have trading strategies that take advantage of that trade as well. And then my thesis is also going to be very bearish, where I will trade any short setups I have double size. So we will cross that bridge when we come to it. I hope that happens, because I'm always hoping this market sells off, because these equity markets, because they're so ridiculous and they make no sense with their constant bungee jumping straight back up. So it's always very beautiful to see sell-offs. So let's plug this in, this new zone. So if this holds and moves higher, I'm going to go long. If this moves lower, then I can take Barks and Licks to the downside. And it's going to get really interesting as it moves lower, like I just said. So let's plug this puppy in. You guys got questions? Throw them in the YouTube chat, please, because that's basically all I see when I get a chance. 18,194 quarters. So I'm just plugging in the top of the zone here. Plug in this ATR. It's 29.35. We got natural gas number coming out here. 18,180 in a half hour, or 10 minutes, I'm sorry. So that's the newest zone, right? Now, for this to be a bullish setup, it needs to touch the validation price of 23.50, right? So this is what I was getting at. So this is saying the ATR is 30.75. It's actually 23.50 because the ATR is off in this beta test thing. So when we get this rolling and when it's working, then you can just, these are the values on the spreadsheet basically, right? So for now, with the actual ATR, like I said, the validation price is 23.50. So what I was saying before is I was looking to short this event, right, on a retest confirm. Well, now this is the newest event. So if this touches 23.50, this is a bullish setup. So I can't take a short off of this anymore. So that's off the table. So now I'm going to look to get long in Izzy here in a flexion zone trade, and we'll look at some other areas that this may be in. And this does everything for you, right? So you plug in your account size. You plug in your risk. I'm risking 10%. We'll go over this. That's a large risk amount. If you're trading your money that you're living on, that you're trying to support yourself with, I would not be risking 10% on a trade. You risk 2% max. In these accounts, I'm risking 10%. We'll go over that. This tells me, based on the volatility, the size of the zone, my risk levels, how many I can put on, right? So I will put on, so I usually round up, but overall, I'm still pretty bearish this market, bigger picture. So I'm just going to put on 3. So you see, guys, I'm a day trader, right? I think these markets are going to get killed, but I'm a day trader. If something real time is telling me that this thing's not ready to sell off, I'll go long, right? It's painful for me because I want these markets to get killed, but I'll put the log on. And here's your prices. So I can put on a whopping 3 micro at, based on my risk tolerance stuff, at 28. So the other issue here is if I'm an enter at 28, one of my rules is I try my best not to enter in prior events, because these markets so often will hit the event and reject. Why? Because these are, we just talked about this a little bit ago, these are loaded up traders that are underwater. So anyone who bought in here is not feeling very good. That's still holding on. When it comes back to this area, they're like, please let me out, and it leads the next wave down. What was that? What did I just fall in there? Oh, crude. So I'm long crude. We'll go over this here in a second. I actually should be long. Hold on. Let's see if this is. I took an Izzy trade here. Yep, I can't put on Barks and cannot put on Barks and Links though because that was guys bearish. So we'll go over the Izzy trade I just put on here in a second. So you'd see here, this was a Dumb and Dumber setup, one of the 6 setups. Dumb money, puke, stop run. That's usually not. It's just guys puking. It's not initiative selling. It's not big money, and this is quintessential Dumb and Dumber. So we'll go over this in a second. In the meantime, let me get this order in. So I'm going to go long here, 18,228. You got to continuously update your ATR. It's now 30.78, so you'll watch this entry price change. It's going to be higher. Now it's 18,229.75. So again, that's still going to be in the middle of the zone. So I got to make a decision here, right? If this was just sitting here by itself, I would definitely just move it out of the zone. Well, if I move it out of that zone, now I'm into that zone. So what am I going to do? Move it up 50 points just so I don't fill in prior events. So sometimes you got to accept, just the entry. So I'll just get in. I'll move it a little bit out of that zone. I'll move it up to 36.5, right? But I know I'm fighting that too. So even if I go long here, I know I'm going to probably see this type of trade as these guys that are caught with their pants down, these longs, as it comes back, they want out. So it'll probably do that. So I'm aware of that already. I'm already aware that's probably what's going to happen because that's what these markets are. These are algo-ridden markets that do that to you to take your money, and then the big money comes in and it makes big moves, and it's back to trading like this. So when you put a trade on, you need to expect that, and that's why you're going to see when I put this trade on, I demand it do certain things before I get out of the trade because I'm well aware of the algos that are trying to, whipsaw you back and forth to take your money. So anyway, I'm going to enter the long here at 18,236.50. This is Izzy long. All right, that is working. If that occurs, right? We still don't really know what this event is. Is it going to be a bullish or bearish event, right? But with the Izzy trade, I'm going to take first move out of here. So I'm not going to wait for that pattern for that particular trade. There's other trades that I do wait for that pattern, and it's all in here. So when you see aggressive, that means first move out. So for the Barks and Licks, I wait for this pattern. There's your volume event. I wait for the ATR. I wait for it to retest the volume event, and then when it moves back out, I get in. That is from just watching thousands and thousands of these. That's the best way that I've determined to get in the trade. Yes, I used to say first time the minute you see buy ice, I would jump in and I get smoked. Then I would say, okay, here's buy ice because I know the area is important, but it's just the way it needs to react, right? So then another time, then after that, I would say, okay, there's the ATR. When it comes back, I'm going to get in, and then I would get smoked. Then I just determined from, again, watching so many of these, the best way if you're going to go long or short is to wait for the ATR push out to prove it can push an ATR away from the volume event, right? That's number one. Wait for the retest, then show the area is still important on the long side. And then once it moves outside of an ATR, we go 110% of an ATR, 115% of an ATR, then I enter. Then my stop is on 115% of an ATR on the other side, and that helps me avoid this nonsense because if the market is able to come back, push through the volume event, push another ATR out of there, then I say, Uncle, you win on to the next trade. Other than that, there'll be times I'm sitting in this nonsense for hours. But if it doesn't violate the zone on the other side, I'm still in the trade. A lot of you guys just will not accept that. You want, I like when I get in my NASDAQ trades, I like to risk 10 points to make 20. That is just you imposing your will on the market, right? The market, and especially when volatility is heightened like it is right now, good luck risking 10 points to make 20. This thing will move 20 points. The ATR is 29 right now. What does that mean? 5-minute ATR is 29. That means every 5 minutes, this thing is rotating 29 points. Good luck putting in a trade that you're only risking 10 points. You are very, very, very likely to get stopped out on random ATR rotations. Right? So that's why we trade the way we do, the way I do in the trade room. If you come in the trade room and or these webinars, you can learn that's the best way that I've seen to trade them. Right? You can, insist on, even with these zones, you're like, okay, yeah, I like that long idea, but I'm just going to risk right below the zone. You can do whatever you want, but I'm telling you, you probably want to listen to me since I've watched so many of these. If you get really good at these and you say, I've just noticed that I don't need to risk the ATR below there to stop out, I'm okay with this just below the zone, you do whatever you want. I'm just giving you my opinion, and that's why you're on the webinars, to hear my take on things, because I do have the 25 years of experience and 7 years of experience trading these things and 3 years of experience with my trade room, right? That's why you're on these webinars, I would think. So you either take my advice or learn the hard way. That's the whole point. All right, see if you guys got any questions. No questions. All right. So now we just got to see what happens here. Again, I have my Izzy long working. If this moves out of this zone long, I'm going to take this inflection zone long, right? So what about the flip side? So say this, the volume event's right there, right? Say this holds and does not validate to the upside. I'm just drawing the volume event on this chart, right? Say this doesn't and it moves lower. Well, then I'm going to take Barks and Licks, and there's another trade that we've just introduced, because I introduce new trading strategies all the time. This is going to be a balance. It's called FBB, failed balance breakout. And I'm going to take that trade as well, and I'm taking any short. If this area breaks, double size, because this market should get smoked. I say should until it's getting killed, and then a random Fed guy comes out and saves the day. So you just got to accept it. We'll see what happens here. But I already know I'm going to do that if this validates the other way, to the downside. It still has not validated either way for this or that, so we'll wait and see. Crude, of course, just got filled with a tick here. Got an Izzy long. I still think crude's going to break, but to the downside. But it's holding where it should hold for right now, right? So we do this every day. The thesis for crude right now is obviously it's longer term bullish, right? What looks to me like it's going on is just it's building bigger balance, right? So we're just in the middle of one of these waves, but these are all fractal, right? So when you drill down, this is a balance area. Tried to break down. What did it hold? High volume node. Then it should have done that. For some reason, it's not doing that. It tried. 3 different buying tails. This is looking like that should happen, but the point is, why can't it get through the high volume node of this? So this is a battle right now. I'd be willing to bet large sums of money the next move out of here, either this way or this way, is going to be an outsized move, right? Not just some little blip. It's going to be probably a 2, 3, 400 tick move, 2, 3, $20, $30, $40 move, right? I'm sorry, 2, 3, 4, $5 move. These trading in dollar increments. So anyway, the volume of them is here. So this is an example. I went long. It wasn't quite in the Izzy zone. I might get burned for it, but it was close enough. And I'm like, you know what? It's close enough to this Izzy zone. And I saw tail. So I'm like, I'm going to give this Izzy long a try. So I am long Izzy. If I lose on this trade, it's going to suck, but it's giving me information. And if that zone with all those tails breaks, crude's going to get crushed, should get crushed, at least short term, and I'm going to trade double size shorts. So I have that all in my mind. All right, here I'm about to get filled on this Izzy long, which sucks. All right, I'm filled. Boo. I really wanted to go short this market, but it held. So as of right now, this market held where it should have held. And you can see the sweeps coming in now. There's my tick strike. That'll start firing off. See these sweeps coming in. So somebody's sweeping this up. Right? So this is a perfect example of what this should do if this is going to remain bullish. It broke out. Little juke move. Screw all the longs right away. Held the high volume node. Is now breaking back out with a buying tail. So right now, that's looking like this. You're going to definitely want to watch how it reacts to this high volume node, but that's a little ways up. Remember, in my room, I've been talking about 18,300 is the line in the sand. That's the high volume node of that balance area. So if that breaks through there, then we have a trade for that too. We'll get into that if that happens. But right now, this looks like that's where it's headed. We'll see. These are just opinions, or it's not predictions. It's just opinions. I'm not just putting on trades because I think something's going to happen. I'm putting on trades based on what I see happening, right, with the volume events. So we got long in Izzy trade because this was a Dumb and Dumber stop run into an important area. So trades on. Got to put my stop on in This is about the same. So I got long a little higher because I've got outside that zone. My stop's at 44.50 for this. So for this particular trade, I'm risking 85 points. I can just hear the rumbling. Oh my God, 85 points, blah, blah, blah. Yes, based on the ATR and the volatility, because if this gets moving my way, this is going to be worth probably more than 85 points. It's probably going to be double that or triple that. So now my stop's going to go way down here. You just saw it there. So I can avoid. So how many you just bought there? I mean, you shouldn't be mirroring my trades. You should learn what you're doing and apply it yourself. But you're probably like, oh my God, no, I'm out, right? No, this thing's got to come back through this zone and an ATR, and then I say uncle, and then that's fine. I'm okay sacrificing this trade because then I'm going to fire to the short side. So we'll see what happens. At the end of the day, when you're judging yourself, you're not judging yourself on P&L. You're judging whether you followed your rules. Whether I feel like this market's going to break or not, this turned into as a bullish setup in an important area, I took the long. If it loses, I readjust my thesis, and then I start trading bigger the other way. That's it, right? So I didn't want to go long here because what I think is going to happen. But so it's a probability game, right? Let me get my usual rant going here on the trading in the zone document that you guys see every week. Trying to find it. Hold on. So this is my trade room. See what these guys are saying in here. Hopefully they're calling out trades. I don't see anything posted today. Y'all get F's. Let's see. Oh yeah, there's one trade or one chart. Let's see. I want the trading in the zone doc. Where is that? So again, my computer restarted, so I lost all of this stuff. That's the reversion trade. We'll get into that. What you can expect. There you go. Trading in the zone. So my point as I was getting it, so first of all, you need to have this memorized, if not tattooed to a part of your body, right? You should read this every single morning or tattoo it and look in the mirror, but then you'd have to put it on your body backwards so you can see it in the mirror. But anyway, you get down here, so all this stuff you need to understand, right? Anything can happen. You don't need to know, or do you need to know? So this is straight out trading in the zone. I did change this part. Or do you know what's going to happen next? So what you know is your trading strategies if you have an edge and you follow the rules. So I'm trading like a casino. I don't know what hand is going to be a winning hand or what hand is going to be a losing hand. I know over the long run, because I have an edge, that I'm going to end up a winner, right? But you got to put them all on. So that's why I put this long on. I don't know what's going to happen. It fit my criteria for a long. I put it on, right? Even if it feels bad, and it feels bad. So I'm long. I'm about to get stopped out of crude. So I kind of, like I said, that wasn't quite in that Izzy zone. You can see they're hammering on tick strikes. So let me get my stop in because I forgot to do that. Crude's been actually giving me the finger lately. It's not been very cool. But guess what? This breaks a little lower. I am going to, this thing is going to get smoked, I think. All right, so my stop is, I think this ATR is pretty close. So I got long at, did I even put this zone in here? I think I just traded right off the chart here. I think the ATR was right on line. Let's see. ATR is showing 20.8. ATR is 18.8, so that's off a little bit. So it's basically this. This ATR is showing a little higher. So I'll stop out at 85.03 for this Izzy long. And then, like I said, I'm going to be looking big time short. So let's see. 85.03. So this is per example, right? I think I had one or two winners yesterday, but I think I had 3 or 4 straight losers in crude yesterday, right? Did I say the next trade, oh my God, I'm not gonna, this stuff doesn't work, I'm not putting on this trade? No, I just keep putting them on, and then I got a winner, right? But the bottom line is you can have, and that's why you've got to respect your loss limits for the day and what you're putting, because you can have in any set of, in anything like a casino or dealing blackjack hands, whatever, you're going to have a series of losses. So you got to be able to sustain those losses, right? And again, if you have the edge, you just keep putting on the trade. All right. So anyway, so I am going to be cognizant. We haven't gotten into this. So thesis with this stuff. We already looked at the bigger picture on the bar charts. You can see this is just in a whopper balanced market profile value area, right? So these are just days merged. If you see these blue rectangles, they're Those are just value areas of days. Value areas just where 70% of the trade occurred in a single day. But if the days merge, like for instance, if this day ended right here, I would merge this into this and make a bigger one, right? Point is, you really want to watch. This breaks down through here, adios, right? But this is conforming. This is basically another way to look at the bar chart stuff that I showed you, right? And then you want to watch blue lug here. These are the lug levels. We'll get into all this stuff. Very important area. So we'll keep an eye on that. These are incredible support and resistance areas. They're also as far as targets and then how the market should react. So for instance, this one built lugs at the time. So it built new lugs to the upside. Well, what should happen for this to stay bullish? It needs to hold the prior red, which is the prior resistance, and then current yellow, which is more like the mean. It couldn't do that. What do you expect? Blue. And it's heading right to blue. So you can come up with a thesis based on lugs. You can come up with a thesis based on market profile composites. You can come up with a thesis based on bar charts. That's what I do. And then when I get my volume events in the direction of my thesis, then I trade bigger, right? So this is a really, really important zone for crude. Like I said, I may stop out of this, but this breaks these tails, and then this is basically a bigger balance. Bye-bye. Down here is my call. Right? My God. Again, great. That's my opinion. If it starts breaking down, I get a bullish event, and it's in a zone, then I'm going to take the long, right? But if I start getting bearish setups, watch out. All right, what's going on with this torture treatment? So this is exactly what I'm talking about, right? I just got done saying if I put this long on, just on it, and say that stuff's not even there, I'm pretty much expecting that. And you can see it got right up to the bottom of that and fired back. This is why I said I didn't, if I was going to take this long, I was biting the bullet, because I usually like to put them outside the events so I don't go through this. But I wasn't willing to move this thing up 40 points to enter it. So I just said I'll get in where I'm supposed to get in. I moved it out of that zone. And now we wait. That's all you can do, right? Can't even watch the Masters, I don't think, right now. I brought it up earlier. It was like it's a rain delay. So we wait, and we can't even watch the Masters while we wait. I played a little rounders in the room yesterday. Yeah, I mean, this makes me sad, right? This is very sad right now. Can't even put on the Masters. Haven't even started yet. So there you go. All right, so now you see some more swipes. By sweeps, I call them swipes. They're sweeps, sweep indicator. That's also, we'll talk about that in the course as well. Right here. Where are you at? Of course. Right, so, again, this is part of the stuff that I talk about here. It's just so important, what's going on in these markets. So you can kind of judge, too. That's this here, sweeps indicator. You know, if someone keeps coming in here and buy sweeping this thing, like you see right here with these white lines, so I have mine set for my sweeps to threshold for my zone, meaning 150. I'll come over here. Here's the sweeps. We'll get into market pulse too. I'm sure that market pulse is firing off here too. Where's the sweeps at? I can't find them. There. So see, I have it at 150. So this is giving you information on what's happening in the market right now. Buy sweeps, buy sweeps. Let's see on the market pulse if this is the most buying in the last hour. Very important too. We'll go over this. This is actually it's already on here. So this is not the most buying in the last hour. So that's interesting. So yeah, they're sweeping it, but it's not the most buying in the last hour. So, but if it was, that would give me information too, obviously, right? So you'll see this thing spike. We may see it. If the area can't hold and they're most buying in last hour, you see them sweeping the order book. Even with these sweeps here, if this area can't hold, I can get out of some of these. I only have 3 on, but I can get out of one based on what's going on here, right? So meaning their buyers are being aggressive. If they're not rewarded, this thing's probably going to come back. I'm not saying it's going to come all the way back, but I don't have to hold. Why do I need to hold a full position if I'm getting this activity with these buyers and it's not responding? That's telling you something, right? Doesn't mean first move out of here, I'll jump out of it. There is a pattern to these two, this and the market pulse with the volume, pressure, and balance. We'll maybe you guys get a chance to go over these. But what I look for is watch what happens here. So say this comes like this and these buyers are off sides. Well, I don't just jump out like I said. I wait for this. Then it usually does the same pattern. It'll retest the area, right? And then the next low, I will get out of one. So we'll watch to see if that happens here. Right before I get stopped out of crude in probably 3, 2, 1. Stop me out. Come on. My stop's at 85.03. There you go. All right, so I stopped out of crude. I got filled to the damn tick. This happens so often, it's sickening. Like most traders don't get filled to the tick 5 times in a year. I get 5 times in a day. All right, we got ES stuff too. So like I said, now that's fine. That was my sacrificial lamb, and I kind of skirted the rules there, right? Because that was not actually at the Izzy zone when I took that trade. So I deserve what I got. This zone breaks, I am firing to the short side. Double size. All right, so we will wait for a new event there. There's nothing I can do off of this event to the short side because it already confirmed it. Remember we talked about it confirming. So I'm waiting for a new event there. So we want to watch this area first of all. I may get out of one of these if this extreme buying can't push this higher. Then we just got something in ES. I know how much you guys love to trade the ES. It's so exciting. Let's see what's going on over here. Guys, I know I talk fast and I know it's a lot of information, but I'm trading live, so I can't really slow it down. So you just got to learn to live with it. Go back and watch the recording if you can't keep up right now. All right, so you can see here, there's waves of buy ice coming in here. You have, so it didn't draw these because they weren't threshold. So my threshold for icebergs is 700 for ES. That's what I determined from watching. This has been the same since the day one, 6-7 years ago. That's like the tradable amount, right? So meaning, you know, you'll get, say you just get a random 400. Well, a lot of you guys, when you get this SI indicator, you're like a kid in a candy store. Every spike you want to trade it. Well, no, I know the levels that it's worth trading. But in this case, this didn't draw because it was only 400. And this didn't draw because it was probably 600, 500. This one drew because it was threshold, 700. But this is back to back to back, right? And you can see here with the yellow line, I have it set. This is the on-chart indicator. This is one house that has bought all of these, right? So one entity right now bought basically 1,000, 1,700 ice and counting, right? They're still in here. That if you don't think that's important information, then you're just in the wrong business, right? So I'm going to combine all these. So what I'm going to do here is just move this up. So that's where that started over here. I got that. So in the course, I talk about how to draw these zones and adjust the zones, because even with the zone drawing tool, we'll get into that. So you can get this as an add-on on Bookmap now, where it draws it for you automatically. You still have to adjust sometimes, like I'm doing right now. So that looks like that's correct. So this current zone that I'm going to trade off of, that's, you know, almost, what did I say it was, 1,500 ice-ish. It's almost 2,000 ice by ice, right? 96 to 94. Let's plug that in. Well, let's see. If the ATR is right, I can trade right off the chart. I don't think it's right because it's in beta mode 7.86. It's close, but it's not right. You can see the ATR is 7, which is actually a pretty high ATR. I'm very excited that the volatility is picking up in these markets. You know, so let's plug this in and then see what the NASDAQ trade's doing. So there's a way too. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's put this in first. 51.96, 51.94. ATR is 7. So these are my values. So if I see 03, that's a long setup. On the downside, such as 87, that's a short setup. Now that's step one, putting the zone in, right? Now let's see where we are. See what important areas this is. So you can see what this just did here. 96 to 94, right? Actually, it's above there, so I can't do it. I thought we were in this zone where the buy ice came in. So this is not an Izzy for me because the iceberg happened right there. If it would happen in here, I'd take an Izzy long, right? For this strategy, Izzy strategy, there's nothing for me to trade, and this is smack dab in the middle of this area. So I'm still leaning like that. I think that's going to happen. I don't know. You don't know. Nobody knows, right? So I'm still going to say this setup turns bullish, and my ingredients to go long happen. I will go long, even though I think this is going to happen eventually. The break of this balance area, either way, is going to tell you what is going to go on here. Especially if it gets through, if it gets back through the high volume, you know, to that balance area, then it's going to probably go back to the highs. This breaks lower, which I think it's going to do. Why? Because it broke down out of this and is building accepting value or building balance, aka value, below all this. So it's very likely to break. And that doesn't mean it's going to break right now. And I'm a day trader, so if this setup turns out to be a bullish setup, I potentially will take it. Let's look at my filters. I can't take barks or licks. Why? Because algo guy's not bullish yet. It looks like it's going to try to pull. We may do it if it gets out of here. We'll watch that. So there's nothing to do on the long side in those strategies. What other strategies do I look at? Well, let's look at the lugs and look where crude is. This is a really important area in crude, like really important area. Ludwig, natural support, extreme standard deviation of VWAP, and you're at market profile composite low. So if this holds, I would still take long. This breaks, adios crude, and I'm going to, like I said, fire on the short side. Just waiting to hear a volume event, right? I'm not getting a volume event there. Actually, let's, I want to see where we're at in ES first, if there's any longs to be taken, other strategies. Not really. So this was yesterday's trade. So you can see here, this is going to tell you what to maybe expect here based on yesterday. It could not hold outside here and closed in here. Now it tried to get in. I'm talking this guy, right? Tried to get in. Now it's coming back down. It's trying to get out of here again. That's telling me, I mean, it already tried once. If this breaks out of here again, I think that's going to be the move. We'll see. I think. I don't know. I tried the volume events as they present themselves. So the point is, there's really nothing to do. Well, I take that back. If this gets back inside here, we got the volume event right here, right? At an important area. If this breaks below here, I can take a pick trade short. Profiles encouraged. We'll go over that. If this gets inside here, I'd wait for one of these, this, and I'd take a pick long. That's just one trading strategy, and that's this. Right? Take any trade that moves into a market profile composite higher low or out. Trade can be taken if market moves there out of the composite, then back to the higher low, or if market accepts into a composite and tests the higher low. So that's what I just showed you, right? So on the short side, if this volume event turns out to be a bearish event, I'm going to go short. First move out of here at that price. If it gets back inside here, then retest that buy ice, then I'm going to go long. That particular strategy. On the short side, I can take barks and licks if this holds and moves lower, because this is bearish, right? So I'm just, guys, all I'm doing here, I know it's like drinking from a fire hose if you don't know what you're watching. I'm just looking for volume events in important areas, and based on these strategies, I can either take longs or shorts, right? So I wait for this to tell me what event it is. So first of all, I stopped watching NASDAQ. I was going to get out of one if that area started to fail. It's still in this area, right? There's more. So this is giving you great information. There has not been a volume event, but you can see sweeps, 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 sweeps. It's fine right now from a long standpoint. If this gets below here, how do you think? Say you're the firm that, or the trader that's sweeping this thing, and it goes like this. Well, what are you feeling? Pain, and it's probably going to do that. So I'm watching. Even though there's not a volume event, I will get out of at least one, if this area doesn't hold. So it should hold, because these guys are sweeping it. The sellers aren't really engaging. We'll see. If it doesn't, it's giving you information. That's the whole point. You're getting information based on something that's happening right now, not from a line from 3 weeks ago. All right. So what I'm seeing here, I mean, this is looking bullish from this aspect. So this is that bar chart I just showed you, right? It tested the high volume node. This was the exact point of control yesterday, which is basically the same as high volume node. It's just an exact price. Bounced off. Tried to get out of this guy. Couldn't. It's back in here. So this is looking bullish right now, right? If ES gets back in it's looking bullish. So what does that mean? It doesn't mean a lot. I mean, I'm just coming up with scenarios. If I say there was like 3 things that look bullish, then I could trade bigger to the long side. That's all. Let's see what happens here. You can see it's just bouncing around this yellow Ludwig level. Well, let's just go over these quickly while it's very quiet. So here, I didn't post this today yet. Let's post this in the YouTube channel. Hopefully it'll post for me. Thank you, Madam Shizzle, for saying that the CL's at the blue lug. If you guys can't see that document, let me know. This is everything that I use in my trading. Here's a zone drawing tool, right? Bookmap Marketplace. If you get this is subscription price, you get the basic one. email me when you get it, and I'll give you access to the Pro with all these lines on here, right? With the ATR, and we haven't even talked about the reversion trade, but you get the ATR, you get your entry, your exit, all of it. It's basically the spreadsheet on this. That's the Pro version. The basic version is this one. The Pro version isn't available yet because it's in beta, and we're getting it better, right? That's the Bookmap Marketplace. And then you can watch these YouTube videos on both the basic and the Pro. Here's the course that I've been talking about, right? Again, you can learn what I'm doing on these webinars in my trade room, but it's going to be a much steeper learning curve. If you get this, you're armed and ready. So when I start talking 100 miles a minute, you can follow along what's going on. If you want to bypass this and try to learn on the fly, be my guest. It's just going to take you longer. So for some people, a lot longer. There's some people in my room that have been in there for a year and still don't, for some reason, know what they're doing, which is really shocking to me, but whatever. I'm not going to get into that. He already got his lesson the other day. This is the zone. So you get this stuff as part of my trade room, but if you can't get in the trade room, you can get a subscription to this. Here's the spreadsheet. Here's those Izzy zones, or you can get them both. If you can't make it into the room, you get that. You can go there. Here's my stuff. This is my website. So on here is basically everything I posted in here too. But you go here, here's discounts to everything that I use. Bookmap discount, Apex discount. We'll get into Apex. Highly recommend it if you're working on the stuff, and or if your trading account's small. All right, we'll get into this in a second. But I hate their new website. So use that coupon code. You get right now. They got 80% off of these trading account thingies. We'll get into that in a little bit. And then, actually, I'll just go on the spreadsheet. But anyway, you get discounts. You can get 2 weeks of Hero. We haven't even looked at Hero. Let's look at this is important information too. Let's see what that looks like here. Hold on, actually, I got to log in to get that. All right, so Hero is moving higher right now. You see this flow came in and it moved higher. This is all this is Hero is options activity, right? So options players, dealers are big futures participants because they have to hedge themselves when they get loaded up with options. They're the seller when you see this activity. They got to turn around and buy futures, right? So they do have an impact in the market. Most days, not most days, but a lot of days, they're the only game in town. The other days, they're doing their thing and the market's not reacting because you got bigger money going to come in the other way, right? So that's telling you something too. So for instance, if you see this thing rip up, right, moving higher, the market's kind of just spinning in place. That's telling you, somebody's absorbing these futures dealers. When this thing turns back lower, it's going to get killed, right? Kind of like it's just looking at current information, kind of like we're looking at this area in NASDAQ, right? It's not the same stuff, but I'm saying you're adjusting to what's happening right now. So I'm seeing these big buyers coming in here, sweeping. If this can't hold, that's telling me something, right? So that's what I was getting at with the Hero. I want to see what Mag 7 looks like because these are the highest weighted stocks. You can see that it's at that size too. So this is one of the reasons NASDAQ's ripping up, because it's the highest weighted stocks in NASDAQ are moving higher. Let's see what the overall universe is pretty bullish too. So, right now this long is working pretty much because of that. I mean, that's definitely helping it, right? The point is that's moving higher. You get these sweeps. If this can't hold, I'm going to be very wary and I'm going to get out of some, right? You're watching that. Did I miss anything here? Why does it just say S&P? Just copper. I'm not going to trade copper on this webinar. Plus my charts are all screwed up because I think Thinkorswim didn't save my workspace. We can look at natural gas here in a couple minutes if you guys want. Let's see what's going on here. So this is really interesting as far as this market profile composite. Like I said, it couldn't break down yesterday. Tried to get in today. It still looks like that might happen, so we'll see. Again, I'm armed and ready. I know if this volume event fails, I'm going to short the pick aggressively, right? That's number one. Number one thing I'm going to do here. That's this trade. We just talked about it. So that entry price on the short side aggressively, and just make sure your ATR is up to date. It's now 6.56. which makes a difference, right? So my short when it was 7, it was going to be 51.86. Now it's 6.56. Now it's 86.50. So, like I said, you know, I'm not like totally gung-ho right in this area short, but if it breaks this zone, so meaning I'll still take the short, but I'm not going to take it double size. If this zone breaks, aka this balance area breaks, then I'm going to trade double size to the short side, right? So anyway, this comes down, first move out of here, out of this volume event, 86.50. I'm going to short it, and I'm going to put on 6. This is the part. This is the pick trade. Excuse me. That's number, and we'll go over these. What I'm doing here with Apex 2. So pick is number 82, and I can put on 6. So if this volume event fails, I'm going to be short pick for ES. Entry is 86.50. That is working. If this area holds, I can put a pick on as well to the upside, but for that I'm going to need to see ATR retest confirmed because it's just right on the edge of that market profile, right? So we'll cover this stuff if it happens. But right now I have no idea. We got to judge to see how this reacts out of this big buy ice area. And you even got more coming in here. So you can see, actually, I guess I turned this white. This is sell ice. So I'm not going to incorporate that. These are just smaller areas, but it looks like the same house keeps buying in here. So I'm okay with this zone still. Like sometimes you got to expand it if you, like I added these in, right? Somebody is buying a lot here. So again, paper's not always right. We call paper the big money, the big firms, funds, whoever this is. They react the same way a lot of times too, as far as they need to get the hell out of the trade if they're not right, right? So that's, you never know what they're doing. Are they hedging? Are they getting out of longs or getting out of shorts from earlier? Are they initiating positions? You're never going to know. Stop wasting your time trying to figure it out. Just know this area is important. There are loaded up traders here. Somebody's selling it hard. Somebody's buying it secretly, right? With their hidden orders. And there's more, right? I'm going to just make this one bigger zone. So we capitalize. Why is this not moving? We capitalize on the moves out of these areas, aka loaded up traders. That's it. It's that simple. All right, so this is going to adjust my entry now because I'm using this as my new zone. So remember we said it was 86.50. Well, it's going to change a little bit here. So now the zone's 96 to 93.25. 51.93.25. So that's going to affect my entry. Now it's 85.75. And if it keeps coming in, then I got to keep adjusting the zone. I mean, there's a point where I would not adjust it if it moves way down, but we'll see as it goes. So now my entry is I'm putting on 6 at 85.75 short. This is the pick. If this holds, then we have other strategies we'll put on. We'll see what's going on. Again, Algo Guy is still bearish. Let me put that in right now too. So if you guys are always asking about Algo Guy, what is going on here, man? Let's see. Should be in resources. This dude right here tells you all about it. You can come up with 10, 15 trading strategies just from what they talk about in that. All right, so that's that. Let's put that in the YouTube channel. Man, Sizzle said Hero tanked. That can be interesting. Where's Hero? The CL symbol on Bookmap? Well, it depends on your data provider. If you're using Rhythmic data, which you need to be able to get the SI information, it's CLK4. All right, what was I just going to do here? Got thrown off. Oh, I want to see, first of all, that's why. Oh, first I want to look at Hero. This is supposed to be in another thing. So Mag 7 is not taking. Mag 7 is still at its high. That's why these markets aren't really responding. The overall market. So Hero just moved almost $1 billion notional. What does that mean? First of all, we'll go to my website. You can watch the videos I've done with Brent. from Spot Gamma. This is my website. That's in that no, not this one. It's in the trading document that I just gave you, or the document I just gave you. But if you go down to the bottom here, you can watch this is on my YouTube channel too, but this is with him. This is with him too, I believe. That's the one I did with Apex, and this is the one I did with Dr. Brett 7 years ago that a guy in my trade room is trading on the information from 7 years ago. I'm not sure why. So, same guy that got the verbal lashing. You know who you are. All right, so anyway. Right, so this is interesting, right? So, the overall mark, they were hammering, yes, the ES. This is a big notional move in the options. Mag 7 was just sitting at its highs, so that's why I didn't really say it's even moving higher. And you can see this is you can see this right here. See it on tick strike. This is one of the things I use. These meters. There you go. Right. So the long, I'm long right now. I'm long Nasdaq, right, and it's working out. Whoever was sweeping in here was right so far. Here's some more sweeps. So you can see how hard it is for this thing to get through these prior events. That's exactly what I said. I knew getting long this market before, down here, that I was going to go through this because these are prior events where traders are trapped. Right? It gets much higher than it should. And oh, look what's up here. I wonder where this market's heading. This is called liquidity. This is showing you the heat map. The heat map is showing you the bigger orders in the order book. These are the big players. They make the market go to their orders. This is the game I used to play all day, every day as a scalper in the mini S&P. That's where I made my money. And right, and again, the simplest form of trading. I used to be all over the order book, right? I have 1,000 lots in there, and I would start. This is a bullish event now, by the way, pretty close. I'd play games with the order book, and so I'd say. I would just load it up. So my liquidity, say it was me, I put 1,000 lot in here and the market would be down here and I'd start to test the waters, kind of like this, maybe do a sweep to see what happens. If it just sits there and like it doesn't, no one comes in selling, I'd sweep some more. I'd have 1,000 on or more and then run right into my offer. I'd get out, on to the next game. It's all I would do all day. Back then you can spoof. I was doing all the above. I was a hated trader. Like now I complain about all these games. That's what I used to do to people, so maybe it's payback. It's obviously payback. But the point is, if you understand the games, if you can't beat them, join them. This is probably 100%. It's going to make it there probably on the webinar. But today, this is going right to this liquidity. That is great information. If you wanted to get long and you get your volume events, and we have a trade for this. It's called the lick trade. But you can bet you-know-what, it's going to come up to there. It's probably going to do it right on the webinar. So these are areas that I get out too. So if this gets into this liquidity and can't get through it, I'll get out of some of my trade as well. So we will see what's going on. The buyers are still in control right now. You can see. I mean, the sellers are starting to engage a little bit. It didn't work out too well for them right here, and it might not work out too well for them right here either. So let's see what this volume pressure looks like. All right, so I think I got this on here too. We can take a quick look at. Yeah, I do. Order book, the game. So this is all market pulse, right? So this is the volume pressure imbalance. Let's see the time that it spiked today, like down here or right here, right? So this is before the open. But you can see here, this was showing the most selling. If it's black tip, this is just default is 70%. So this is just quickly. These are the settings for this. This is market pulse. So this is part of the SI, the CME or the MBO on Bookmap. This is what you need to get the SI indicator, but the sweep or the market pulse is part of it right now, right? So that's, if I can find it, I can't read for some reason right here. Right, so this is the volume. So these have all these different algos in here. We'll cover a couple of these. The main ones that I use are the price change. I don't trade off of that so much, but you can. We'll go over it if we get a chance. But the main one I use, volume pressure and balance, if I can find the damn thing right here. So it's just say ES, right? So all the rest of these are default. I bring them up. I use them exactly how they're presented. This one I change. I change it to an hour. So that's what this is showing here. So it's showing me if the highest buying or selling for the last hour, the threshold 70%. If that's touched, it colors it these colors. So I have mine set to black and yellow. So at the time, if you're sitting here and you're long, this thing's ripping like, yeah, I got it. And I'll be like, wait a second. Somebody's hammering this thing. Okay, I want to see if this area can hold. If it can't hold, I know this is the most selling in the last hour. Very important information. Okay, it can't. Okay, I'm out. There you go. And it led to this. And you can see, where did this come back and retest? Surprise, surprise. Right? Right there. So, very important. Buyers here, there's another example. When the buyers were being aggressive, offsides. Being aggressive, offsides. So it gives you information as it comes in, right? And then sweeps are they're not necessarily the biggest buying or selling in the hour, but you're going to get, a lot of times you get sweeps and this information, right? Let's just here. I think something just happened here. Right, so this is getting interesting already, right? This area needs to hold, or NASDAQ's going to probably minimum come back to the zone. Like we talked about, I'm going to get out of some here. I could have just said, hey, right here, sweeps, buying sweeps, buy sweeps, no response, and there was some sellers in here. Here's the response. I can get out of one. So if this breaks just below here, I'm going to get out of one of my longs. I'm using information that's being presented right now, right? Why can't I? There we go. So I'm going to get out. I have 3 on. I'm going to get out of 1 if it breaks below this where these sweeps came in. Again, I could have used this up here and said, that's good enough for me. I'm getting out of 1 here. Instead, I just let this thing come back 30 points on me. So they're still sweeping it. But if this trades down, let's just, this is more subjective. I'm just going to say 28 for right now. So I don't have to hold this if this comes all the way back. This is giving me information. If these buyers aren't winning, why do I want to hold my full position? I don't. Put that, let's see, what did I say? 30. So we'll put it at like 28. I'll get out of 1 of them. Not the whole thing, right? This stuff's pretty fleeting, right? Just because there's buy sweeps and it comes off, well, they're coming back in again, right? But I know this whole area is pretty important, and you can see where it's struggling, the prior volume event, right? All right, so if that comes out back, I'm going to get out of 1, and I'm getting information. If this area does not hold, watch out. All right, did this confirm to the upside for ES is the main question. If it did, then my pick short is going to be canceled, right? Let's see here. Make sure this is right. I got 6.73. So to confirm that along, it needed to touch 275, the validation price. Did not get up there. So this is still not a long setup. Surprise, surprise, some of this liquidity got their fill. That's really, really shocking because they get what they want because they're the big players. But my short is still alive here, right, if this fails. And I'm kind of getting information. I'm getting information. Here's some sweeps here. They're not winning. Hero, the overall hero the hero for ES is starting to turn over a little bit. If Mag 7 starts to go, then watch out. Just more information. Do I just trade up because Mag 7 starts to turn over? No. I mean, you could have strategies based on, I highly recommend the volume events, like all I ever talk about, right? But that's an important thing. You could use that information to get short, but I wouldn't do it without a volume event. Why can't I find the hero now? Hold on, I separated it this way, sorry. Right? So if Mag 7 starts to turn over, I don't really have the notional for this. I mean, you can just eyeball it, not a big move or not a big move. But like we said, this thing did move a decent amount. So if this starts to tank, Mag 7 starts to tank, we got a volume event, say this just remains bearish, maybe I could trade bigger size to the downside. I'm just giving you guys ideas to build your own trade plan. That's the whole idea of this and my room, is for you guys to learn to do this yourself. Build your own trading strategies, with your own rules, right? That's the point. You have the edge. There's no disputing this is the edge, right? You can dispute it all you want. This is the best edge I've ever seen in my 25 years of trading, right? So I use my edge and I use my rules. If you come up with your own trade strategies, I highly recommend you use this to confirm your edge or confirm your areas. That's it. It doesn't get more complicated than that. All right, anybody have questions? I see no questions in there. I don't usually look at the Discord, but something you guys keep putting questions in there for some reason, so I'll look at it. Let's see, where's it at? Let's make it worse. Let's put this out of here. Pretty quiet though. All I've really done is got stopped out of that crude long, but I am waiting very patiently to hammer that thing. Watch crude go to 0. Free gas for everybody. Let's see. Bookmap. Bowl. Here, I'll just show you guys what they're saying here. So this is Discord. I got my own channel on there too. If you guys want to, if you're ever in there. Oh, this was. I thought this was right now. It's not right now. I've been on this website. I'm looking how to access and participate. I didn't see the link. Guys, it's right here. You go to my website. Everything's on here. Right. It's up here. Live trade room. Click on that. Gives you the options. Scroll down. Monthly, quarterly, yearly. You get discounts to the courses if you're a member of the trade room. And then this is the that's just brings you to the other site, right? The scalpelcitytrader.org site. And then you got the store. This has got the course, and then the older. These are still relevant, but these are, these were made a long time ago. This is the original one. That's why it's half price. I mean, you still get good information from this, but there's been so many enhancements, and because you've got to adapt as a trader, right? So this was made in 2020. This one's made now. It's got way more information, but you can, if you want to learn the basics, you can get this one and at least get up to speed. And then this was done by my former partner. He was an expert in trading the NQ. I don't trade this way, but it's relevant. That's why it's still on here, because people like, this is more of a scalping the NQ. The guy was an expert at NQ. This was made prior to COVID, right? So it's still great information. It's just 3 years later. This is what I used when I was trading stocks, because when I got back in the game in 2017, I was not going to trade futures. I was so jaded from being a multimillionaire to nothing because the algos knocked me out of the game. I was going to trade stocks. So this was my go-to playbook for stocks. And then this was from my former partner too. It's just kind of a way to scalp and judge the order flow coming in. But we got market pulse and stuff like that too. So, but that's the website. Everything's on there, guys. Excuse me. All right, this is some bang up trade once again. Watching paint dry. I guess they're just waiting for a surprise impromptu Fed guy, right? Where you at? Some of these other markets. Might as well go over some thesis stuff since there's just nothing going on. Gold, obviously, going to the moon. So break of this, next break of this is going to elicit very likely a big move. Probably going to be up, but if this breaks, there's not a lot here. You got this little guy. This might come back here. Juke all the longs and then do that. That would never happen in gold, being sarcastic. Other than that, watch for a break of this balance. This is loaded up. The tighter this gets, the more likely it is to do that, right? It just keeps getting tighter and tighter and tighter. Traders placing bets, move out of here. Someone's wrong, you take advantage of it. Keep an eye on gold, probably to the upside because it's been very bullish, but it doesn't have to be. Just use that balance area to help you judge and volume events. There was some stuff in natural gas here right up to the number I didn't get over here. So there's been buy ice. This is a potential ISI long, all right? So you saw the number came out. Somebody was in here buying heavy. 235, and then they bought more here. These aren't threshold, but it's still part of here. So I would probably just, well, you don't have to. You can use this independently because it's almost an hour later. So they're buying this thing still. All right, so we'll come back to that. Nothing's going on. I believe this is a now bullish setup for ES. What do we say that price was? 0275, as long as this ATR is right. 6.58. Oh, 250 made that a bullish setup. Bullish, wow. Guys, this is why we have these values. It's unbelievable how these markets just touch these prices. Oh, this is actually the one ATR reversion trade. Right, we haven't gotten into that today, but this is more of a scalper's trade where you're taking advantage of the propensity for these markets to come back to these zones. That's all it is, right? So you can see this is the exact entry point. You're in, comes back to the zone, you're out. That's what that trade is. That's part of the spreadsheet. That's this part of the spreadsheet. So the top part is for the position trades. You see them here. This part is for the reversion trade. So let's see if these values lined up. So I was going to take the short. With that ATR, it's actually showing at 02. So you take the short for the one ATR, you're in at 02. You're out at 96.75. Quick 5.5 points, 5.25 points, whatever that is. The 2 ATR, you would enter there. Here's your stop. Here's your exit. 3 ATR. So you get all the time, which one do you take? Well, I don't know, right? Some days the ones work nonstop. Other days, the ones get run over, the twos won't work nonstop. Other days, the threes work, the twos don't work, the ones and twos, and the threes work, right? So the point is, we're developing this. So the same developer in my room, Johan, we are actually working with a trading firm. We're building this out where it's automated, so we're going to know the exact stats for each market. So I'm going to be able to say, hey, yeah, ES has on the one ATR has a 72% success rate. Well, but there's one other caveat. They're A+ reversions, so we have specific areas based on prior events and or heavy footprint bars where the reversions work a lot better. They're called A+. I'm not going to get into them here. Come in my room, you can learn it. But just in a general sense, you can trade these just naked, for lack of a better word, right? So, the ones are very aggressive. Like you're just, because it happens so often. It's about to happen right here, right? When I am trading this, I don't trade them on the webinars almost ever because they're just too labor intensive and they're too quick for me to do all this stuff while I'm talking and covering other markets. But the ones I like is like when it's the 2, then you take the 1, the backdoor one coming back. Those seem to work really well, right? So you don't take the one, which you got to be okay with saying, okay, I'm going to just take the backdoor one, and then you miss the one that's about to happen right now. You see what I'm saying? So whatever one you decide to trade, if you trade these, in the dashed dotted line is their stop out for each one, right? You just got to take as many as possible to utilize your edge, just like a casino. You want to deal as many hands as possible, then math is going to work out in the end. Same with these. You got to take them all, or don't take them. Don't take any of them. And they're, again, so you can see, you got to figure out what type of trader you are. Could you sit? It takes a really long time for a lot of traders, including me, to be able to put on position trades and sit through the nonsense. Most traders gravitate towards more of scalping. Well, that's for you then, if you like scalping, the reversion trade, right? So there's something for everyone. That's what I'm saying. All right, so this at least has proven to be a bullish setup. You can see it here. Actually, it didn't retest off the reversion, but so we haven't gotten a retest yet. So my rules are I need to see for strategies the ATR the retest. This is not retested. This is the retest line. It's just 10% of an ATR, so it doesn't actually have to get to the exact zone. So yeah, it retested here, but it never got the ATR out of there, or did it? No, it didn't. So that was the ATR out of here. Retest failure. This looks a little bigger because the ATR is off, but it did. This is a confirmed bullish setup. But for me to go long, I need to see the ATR, the retest of the area, and then it moves back out, and then I can take a long. It looks like Barks and Licks may be in play now. See how this is starting to pull? So this may be able to, I may be able to go long here on the pull, and then you're going to get these algos that jumping on the cross too, so I got that going for me, which is nice. So this comes back up here. I will go long Barks Licks because it should be pulling by the time it gets back up here. And I already said I was going to put on the pick long too, right? That's this. The volume that was basically here. It's a little different variation where it's not aggressive, but we already got the ATR, the retest. Then I'll go long pick, bark, and lick. Once this still has to retest though. It has not retested this zone yet. That's just how I trade them. I demand that. If you say I've seen enough, this next time this comes back up to the entry, I'm in. I'm long, because I may miss the trade, right? It doesn't have to come back to the zone. I just have noticed it does it 70+% of the times of all it. So and if it can do that's just a better indication of it's going to work. See what I'm saying? So that's what I demand for the trade. If you want to get in, first move out of here, be my guest. Do what you want to do. If you don't want to listen to my experience with these things, then you can figure out watching 10,000 of them on your own. It's been more than 10,000. I bet you I watched 50,000 of these things would be probably a low estimate. And the other thing too, with Bookmap, you can go back and replay the days. So anything I'm talking about, if you don't believe it, run it yourself. Get Bookmap, go to the replay mode. If you have the zone drawer, it draws the zones for you too. And you can mock trade. You can pull this up and put the trades on. Figure it out for yourself. You should never just take what I'm saying, anybody's saying, can't think of the word verbatim or not verbatim, but test it out yourself is what I'm trying to say. But, you can just, you see this area still holding, I'm still long. Wow, I can't believe it's heading up all this liquidity. Surprise, surprise. All right, so I never got I never got out of that one. I still have the full Izzy trade that I put on at the beginning of the webinar. There we go. Now I'm going to be watching this liquidity. If it fails at this liquidity, I'm getting out of some. What other areas do we have to get out of this NASDAQ long? I will definitely watch this point of control of this Whopper. That's one of my areas, right? So that's right around 18,290. So this isn't just stuff that I'm deciding on the fly, right? This is stuff that I already predetermined what I'm going to do right here. That doesn't mean I'm getting out of all my trade. I pay this is right out of Trading the Zone. I pay myself, not this stuff, but this quote. I pay myself as the market makes money available to me. Very important. I'll get out of all of them at major lugs. Market profile composites, high, lows, POC. That's what I just talked about, right? So, and then heavy resting, struggle to get through heavy resting liquidity. What does that mean? Well, if this moves up higher, and that's going to be right around the point of control too, right? Say we get up here. This is heavy resting liquidity. This has been in here forever. Very important. It's not just algos throwing in liquidity like this. So there's two different types of liquidity. This is algos screwing with you. Putting in orders, pulling them, putting in and pulling. That's why it does that. These guys want to get filled, and it's been in here forever. They're going to get filled. Meaning, how do you know? So again, a novice looks at this and says, oh my God, look at all these sellers. I want to go short. It's the exact opposite. It's look at these sellers, look at these orders in the order book that's been in here forever. If something bullish comes out, if a Fed guy comes out impromptu, says something bullish, I know that would never happen. This would rip right through there. Well, they're willing for that to happen, right? With the orders just sitting there. That means they want to get filled. And what they want, they usually get. So anyway, say it comes up here and starts to struggle, I'll get out of some. And what else do you have up here? So you have point of control of that market profile composite. You got two levels of resting liquidity, and you got a spot gamma level. So I will watch this area very closely on the next wave up. If it can't get through, I'll probably get out of two of my three. And then I'll try to hold one, and I'll try to get to the major Ludwig level, because they're such important, and that's way up here, and or opposing event. So I just showed you the areas that I would get out of two or three if it struggles, basically right there, right? And then I'll hold one. And if it can make it all the way up there, great. I caught a Whopper trade with at least something on, and or if it starts moving up and I get an opposing volume event, then I'm out. That's it. Same thing over and over and over and over. Simple, very simple stuff, guys. If you're not following along, it's fine. It seems like there's a lot here. It's not. It's very, very simple. And that's how I like to trade. Like I told you, I made millions of dollars just staring at this thing. Doesn't get much simpler than that, right? So the more you bring in your trading to make it complicated, that's in Trading the Zone too. So many traders think the more they add, the better they're going to do. It's the exact opposite. The more you add, the more you're not going to be able to pull the trigger because you have all these conflicting information, data points, right? Most of the stuff I use all works together, right? The sweeps, the market pulse. Oh, the other thing I was going to show you was the order book, market pulse. So let's see what games they're playing in the order book. That can give you a hint on what's going on too. We already see what the traded volume is doing. Let's see what the order book games are doing. Let's turn this stuff off for now, just so it's not confusing everyone. Where's that at? Oh, by the way, here you go. The 1 ATR work here, pretty good. You guys ever see this pattern before? Yeah, about 80 times a day. Anyway, there was the 1 ATR. Never would have got stopped. Back to the zone. Now if this comes out of here, now I'm going to take what? Bark, lick, and pick. I cannot grab my pick short working off of this. That's canceled. Why is that canceled? Because this was able to push a 1 ATR out of there. I've just learned from watching so many of these, if the market's able to have enough strength to get an ATR out, I don't want to be messing around. I don't want to take that short per se, right? It's just my rules. You can look at it the other way. You can say, well, I was able to push an ATR short and they weren't able to push it. I want that long. Or I want that short. You can do that. I just noticed, I just have my rules where if it gets there, then it's proven to be a bullish setup. I don't want to take that short, right? So I need to cancel that before I forget, because I know I would never leave an order in the order book. That is canceled. Now, if this comes back, let's see what Algo Guy's doing. And then we'll look at the order book games. We can look at it in here and in NASDAQ. See how it's starting to pull? So this is why we call it Algo Guy. One of the main things that this thing trades off of, and when this crosses, it keeps giving me black. You got these algos that play the cross. So you got that wind at your sails on top of everything else that we just talked about, right? So this comes back. I'm going to take 3 different trading strategies long. Make sure this is right. 6.31. So my long is going to be 3/4. I can put on 6. 3 different trading strategy. Bark. Well, let's see if there's liquidity up here. I'm sure there is. Yeah, look at that. I wonder where that's going. So that's 30 plus points away. Bark. Hold on here. Let me find these strategies. I lost my strategies. Why did I lose my strategies? All right. Bark. 96. What did I say the price was? 3/4. Lick. 3/4. And pick. 3/4. All right, those are all working. It comes back out of that zone. I'm long. If it doesn't, I'm not doing anything on the short side off of this particular event, but it's giving me information, right? Because it's basically hit the ATR and then fails, and then we already talked about what's going to happen if this thing breaks a little lower. So then I'm ready for that. If it moves higher, then I'll be long. Uncomfortably long because I think they're going to get killed. So this is still kind of, I still have that one I'm going to get out of. They're kept sweeping it, and it's still not really doing anything. So here's another thing too. I keep saying all this liquidity, you know, it's going to get there. Well, it doesn't mean it's got to go there right now. This can drop 200 points and then come back later. But the likelihood is it will, right? But they are pulling some too. That's not a good sign for my long right now. Anyway, we want to look at the order book games too. So let's take a look here. This is giving you a signal too, I guarantee you. Let's see. That's... I have this on my other computer too. I usually have this up, but hold on. Here we go. I don't have the colors changed here, so let's just change it because I'm colorblind. I can't really tell. So this is sellers. So this is interesting what they're doing up here. Let's just change this real quick. So there's 4 different options, right? Sellers putting in offers or pulling offers, putting in bids, pulling bids. So you can see there's something's up here. Watch. I'll show you. Well, depending on how it reacts, but you can see what they're trying to do with the order book games here, right? And you can kind of judge, okay, if they're biting and they're not biting with the orders. So here you go, right? So this came up here. What was going on up here? This is just literally strictly games putting and pulling offers or bids. Came up here. This is just the 5-minute default. Pulling, and this, if it hits the threshold 70% or more, right? Pulling offers, pulling offers, pulling offers, putting in bids. It didn't quite hit the threshold, but they're pulling offers. The market's kind of responding, but it didn't. They really opened the door for this to do that, and it didn't, right? Then you come over here. Then they pulled bids here. It did respond a little bit, and then do nothing. Now what are they doing again? Pulling offers, pulling offers. Here's some sweeps, opening the door. Why isn't it going? Up here. Pulling offers, putting in bids. It's responding a little bit, but it's not really doing anything, right? And then all of a sudden, what are you starting to see that's different? Putting in offers, pulling bids. Pulling bids, pulling bids. Very interesting, right? So we already know all these sweeps. Now, they were not doing any of this before. Now they're doing it. So you can look at it one or two ways depending on what happens here, right? I mean, you got to wait to see what happens. But if they're pulling bids and it's not moving lower, so then this is pretty fleeting stuff too, right? But the point is you can get some good information in important areas. So say I'm long, I just talked about getting out here, right? Well, this comes up here and I'm seeing them pull offers and putting in bids. It can't go higher. They're opening the door for it to go higher. It can't go. Then I'm out of some, right? But the point is there's something changing here. But it didn't really respond to the downside yet either. So in this instance, it's not telling me a lot unless we break this area. Most of the time, we've looked at this before on these webinars, especially when you see something starting to change, this is telling you, watch out, right? So the point is, if this basically goes below here, and I already got my order to get out of one down here based on the sweep stuff, but now you're getting a change in the order book games too, watch out. Just information you're using real time. It's not, this is fleeting, guys. This isn't like, yeah, you could technically scalp off this. I'm just saying use it to give you more of a thesis on what's going on right now. Like, okay, they're opening the door. They opened the door for buying. That didn't happen. Now they're opening the door for selling. It did respond a little bit. If this comes back again, this is probably going to do that just based on what you're seeing with that. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. It's not a great example because it's not really, it's just bouncing around in this area, but we see it all the time. This is what I mean about using other information. You're not confusing yourself. You're just literally just enhancing either your trade idea, or it's giving you a warning sign that something's not working. That makes sense? Questions? And then I'm gonna hop off here. I'm at the time. You got a question? Throw it in. Rav, Sony, Hondo, Scott. When you said you used to trade with 1,000 contracts, this be 500. We don't see nowadays big order often. What's the reason for that? Because everything's fleeting. I mean, look at the order book. Their algos run the show back then. This is how I became such a big trader. There used to be thousands in here. Literally, I'm going to show my video. Some of you guys have seen it of me scalping. You can watch me flipping 1,000 lots. You'll see all I was doing was playing games in the order book. I didn't even have a chart up. The next Pro Trader webinar for Bookmap, I'm going to show it again. And anyway, you'll see on the order book, this is what it looked like. It'd be like 2,000, 1,500, 2,000, right? So if I bought 1,000, if I was wrong, I knew these orders were real. They weren't algo games. They were real orders. I could just turn around and peel out on those guys, right? I lose a couple ticks. Nowadays, even if you see a big order in here, the market comes to it and they yank it, right? But there's not even big orders in it anymore. So if I buy 1,000 right now, how the hell am I going to get out? I got to swipe down 4 points. You see what I'm saying? So that's why it's so hard. And if you buy 1,000, these algos pick it up and then they turn around and rip it against you anyway. So yeah, you can't, because you can't get out of the trade. Look, how many price levels would I have to go if I bought 1,000 right now? How many price levels would I have to go? 10, 15 to get the hell out of the trade? Like this price level is 97. So you can't trade big in here like that anymore. That's why, and you can't put big orders in because then the algos will run it away from you. That's why there's icebergs, because they can't flash big size because the algos run it away. But the main reason is because algos have taken over the order book and you can't trade big anymore. Right? Not like you can trade big, but you got to like piece into orders, so on and so forth. That's why. Did another event happen to make it bullish, or didn't it validate as a bearish event? No, it validated to the tick as a bullish event. I got filled to the tick on my aggressive entry and I got stopped out. And now it validated both ways for this particular event, so I'm not doing anything off of this event personally. The next event I will trade, and I'm hoping it's going to be one of these down here, and then I'm going to trade double size short. But no, I'm not. I already bought literally the tick there and got stopped out. Right, and you guys, it makes sense too, is like where we're at in this area. It's like it's very choppy. So you could even say, I'm not taking trades in the middle of balance areas, right? I'm taking trades when we break out of balance areas. That you do much better. But I took that trade and took my loss. On to the next trade. On to the next hand, right? Casino analogy. So I got my long working here, and I'm still long NASDAQ, and I'm still not real confident in this long now. Like I said, I'll get out of one, and we'll see what happens. All right, guys, this is what I do every day in my trade room, twice a day. Again, you got all the information. I will go long this here in a second if this goes here, and then my stop's down there. And then I play to my important areas where I'll get out of some or an opposing volume, but that's how I do it. Just keep doing the same thing over and over and over. Follow your rules. All right, that's it. I will head over to the trade room. I only want you to come in there if you're going to participate, though. The more you participate, the better the room is and the better you're going to get as a trader. I will see you guys next Thursday. Thank you.